Then we have got the start of the senior category, the pinnacle class this weekend, the OK Superheat A. Welcome from wherever you're watching from around the world, live on YouTube and Facebook out there, as well as any other platform that you are watching from. But great to see everyone here as the green flag waves and the first senior race of the day gets underway. And let's take you through that full starting lineup. It's Joe Turney and Jimmy Elias on row number 1. Derisan Langendonk and Dmitry Matviev go from row number 2. David Kozma and Timo Ramakas on row number 3. Freddie Lloyd and Scott Lindblom go from row 4. You'll have Alpak Soy and the 2023 European Junior Champion of Alexander Bondarev joining him alongside inside the top 10. Guillaume Bouzard and Zach Drummond round out row number 6. They'll have Lewis Werrell and Yuka Poe on row 7. Gus Lawrence and Miguel Costa round out row 8. They'll have Davide Bataro and Vivek Kanthan on row number 9.
Drivers who need big races in this one, otherwise their 2024 World Championship ends. Murillo de Roca and Harry Hannam start on row 10. Guy Albag and Lewis Francis go from row 11. Row 12, Aaron Garcia and Elliot Kaczynski. Look for both of those drivers coming through. Simona Bianco from Italy starts on row 13 next to Monaco's Oscar Rapetto. Blake Nash and Stylianos Kolovos go from row 14. Completing the top 30 is Jacob Mikulev and Fred Green. Mika Lamassiere and Leo Nielsen start on row 16. Row 17, we find Austin Gale and former world champion Pedro Hildbrand. Hildbrand needs a miracle to make it through to the final. Maxi Rafalik and Roland Keclain are the last drivers on the grid. 36 of them across 18 rows, ready for Superheat A in OK.
Well, there we go. Drivers on their formation lap, moments away from getting started on this one. Tension really starting to build here because the weight is on Joe Turney's shoulders here. Yes, okay, he is European champion in 2024. That is done for the FIA calendar. But now the World Championship. This is a cookie that he's just been unable to crack so far in his racing career. He has tried tirelessly hard. He got super close last year in Italy in Franciacorta. We know how that ended. We don't need to go into it. But Joe Turney right now just needs to dig deep, focus, and try and break away from this pack. But the drivers behind need to dig deep here, and they need to try and break his winning streak of wins. Here we go then, into the tram lines. Are we racing? Yes, we are. Down in towards turn number 1. And again, from the outside, it's a great start for Joe Turney, and he breaks away at the front of this field. Jimmy Elias holds on to second place. Matviev was not able to stick with his teammates and get into second place. He slots down to third. Over the bridge they go. All the drivers get through past the Litchfield Bridge and the tunnel, but they don't make it on the exit. There's yellow flags out, and there are 3 carts, maybe 4 carts off at the exit of the Litchfield Bridge.
Yeah, there's trouble out there for Stylianos Kolovos. Leo Nielsen in there as well. The number 20 has not got going. There's the 75 also in trouble there. Oh, bit of a wrestling match there with Rocket Coronel involved. Absolutely spot on for Joe Turney with the tactics. I fully understand why he did that, switch the outside, because he'll still have the advantage over the line. We saw Dmitry Matviev do this yesterday, didn't we, mate? Where he'd switch the outside.
Yep.
You're back on the racing line, the normal racing line, and he can just take so much speed through the first couple of corners and get that gap whilst everybody else fights for second place. So spot on work there from Joe Turney. Yes, it's a bit of a risk, but his execution was fantastic. Dries van Langendonk having a bit of a tough one here, falling down the order, has lost out to David Kozma Christopher there. Timo Ramakas coming back through. Ramakas, who had a slow start to this World Championship, was a bit off the pace by his lofty standards in the heats on Friday, but he sparked into life yesterday. Here he is again. The results of first, second and third yesterday. Now he's starting to get into the rhythm and is up to 4th place.
Certainly is. Well, drivers now making their way through Bobby Gaiman in towards the Mike Wilson complex on lap number 2. Eyes are going to be quite focused on these two here, Jimmy Elias and Dmitry Matviev, as they try to really push themselves through. Unfortunately, the 75 of Maximilian Rafalik out of this race. Yeah, big shake of the head. He might not make that final. There's a look at some of the stats from them. Only 1 position gain for Matviev, starting this one. P4, of course, getting up into 3rd place. But they really need to focus on working together now to close up to Turney. If they start scrapping, they're just not going to lose the time. There's nothing worse when you see in racing. If you're a spectator at the sideline, you want to see close racing for the lead, but we're not going to see that just yet, as Matviev is going to go down the inside. That's good, they didn't lose too much time. Now Matviev can work with Elias, and let's see if they can push themselves up to turning. But if Elias starts scrapping with Matviev, they will lose Turney, and he will start on pole no matter what for that final.
That is true. I think the good thing, though, for these drivers right now is if they can push forward, is we have a little look at the rain radar for the first time this weekend. We'll come back to that. Good gap to Scott Lindblom. Joe Turney does not want to win this race. Now, knowing Joe Turney as we do and having watched him over this year and previous, I'm sure he will just keep pushing on, especially as he knows, he can drop these tyres at the end of the race. There's an incident, a driver off the circuit on the escape road at the first turn, which we'll come back to in a minute. The point being, if Matviev and Elias catch, there is the CRG that's out of trouble. Oh, that's going to be a little bit of a roll back down the hill for Austin Gale. So that is Austin Gale out of this race, out of the World Championship, started on the 17th row of the grid. To finish the point, Turney's got such a big lead in terms of those intermediate classification points. He, again, is a driver who does not need to win this race. He can finish third. That should give him enough points over all of those drivers, even Jeff Hall, Matthew Higgins as examples in the second superheat. So, if Matviev and Elias do catch, and that's a big if at the moment, I wouldn't be surprised if Joe just takes it quite calm and goes, yeah, let you guys have this one. I don't want to have any ramifications at this stage of the competition. He's knowing that at the moment he's well on course for that pole in the final.
Certainly is. Eyes on this one. Scott Lindblom setting the fastest lap of the race. He's got a bit of clean air now and is charging up to the rear bumper of Jimmy Elias. So these two are going to be under pressure. The gap between themselves and Joe Turney still 1.5 seconds. So that gap has opened up now between the two of them. But again, we'll keep a close eye on this one as Lindblom really pushing there in the background. You can see the Swede, one of the latest announced junior Red Bull drivers as well, pushing his way through. Pretty steep on this one. He's got David Kozma for company just behind, as well as Thibaut Ramekers for the VDK Racing team, also on his tail and pushing his way through. Lloyd is there as well. Freddie Lloyd, who was one who really delivered in the qualifying heats, put himself through, got a qualifying heat win in his first one, second in the second, then it started to dip off for him yesterday. Saturday wasn't a good day, a 9th, 22nd and a 4th. Still not bad results, but that 22nd really played on him. And currently sits there in P7.
He does sit in P7, but I think already Freddie Lloyd can be very proud of the effort that he's put in here this weekend. This is not a driver that we've been talking about in the European Championships so far this year. Has stepped into the OK category. He's got a lot of experience around this place, of course, because he's another one of the drivers who's raced on the British national scene. There's double waved yellows out on the coming off the Lichfield Bridge. I think one of the victory lanes has stopped out there, possibly. Could be Guillaume Bouzard. You can see that Guillaume Bouzard has dropped down to the bottom of the order, and there's stuff on track that shouldn't be there flagged. The strike. Oh, it's out is one of the Kart Republics, the number 91 of Stylianos Kolovos. That will be the end, I think, for Kolovos's hopes. Yes, started outside the top half of the field. Will not gain positions, will not go any further.
And judging by those marks on the track as well, that may have been an engine seizure that happened there. Been some changes though, and in third place, Lindblom has got himself up into P3. Elias now down to P4, is having to deal with the two that are battling behind. Look at this, Kozma and Ramekers going wheel to wheel. Absolutely superb. The two on the same chassis, but Ramekers with VDK, Kozma with the factory Kart Republic team going wheel to wheel, and Ramekers gets his way through.
Good stuff there from Thibaut Ramekers. Investigation flag is out for Guillaume Bouzard. That's going to be fairly uneventful because Bouzard, as mentioned, is out of this race. On to lap 8 then. Second half of the race is upon us. Joe Turney, well, this is quite ominous now for the rest of the field. Can be forgiven for thinking, yeah, qualifying heats, they're shorter races, easier for you to win those ones from the front. You're not going to defend for as long, but 2.4 seconds the gap for Joe Turney over many of the strongest drivers in this field. That is, I say, is ominous ahead of the final. But as we say, the rain is coming, apparently. Maybe that could be something that changes the order perhaps in the senior category. Having said that, Joe Turney again is very strong in the wet. We saw that at the culmination of the European Championships in Kristianstad about a month or so ago. So yeah, Turney's going to be feeling good. Here's your battle for second place. Matveev still at the front of it as they go on to lap number 9. Lindblom third, Ramikas fourth, Jimmy Elias fifth.
Change again in that pack. The two Kart Republic chassis going wheel to wheel. Looks like this time here, though, David Cosma on the charge back in this race. We'll keep a close eye on it, though, as Elias still in front of it. Here comes Freddie Lloyd down the inside. He now gets past David Cosma. Moves up into P6. Nice little overtake there, but again, they need to work together, try and close in on Jimmy Elias. Let's see what happens as they go through here. Matveev battling away now with Timo Ramikas. Look at this, he's got past both of them.
Yeah, that was all through hairpin number 2. I think we heard
the
shouts
and we got it off.
There's an incident out of hairpin number 2. One of the Paralins is involved with a Cali kart. It's the number 28 of Vivek Kanthan, and that is going to be Kanthan gone from the final. He was just inside the top 36 overnight. He will lose positions in the final intermediate classification. What a shame for the young American who has had a superb debut season in the senior category. Let's have a look at how it happened. Oh, they're just going to run into one another.
Oh,
dear me. It was the other Cali kart was Simone Bianco, who's flying through the order. That will be the end of the Italians World Championship as well.
Yeah, and quite sensibly there, I think they've split the drivers up in there. One's gone one to Marshall Post and the other one's gone to another. So clearly not very happy with each other. But this one here, Ramikas, what a drive from him. Just scything his way through the field. It seems like he was right at the back of that lead group, or that second place group, only a couple of laps ago, and he's made his way past all of them. Here's a look off the bridge. That is out. Oh, and over. That was on this angle here. It might show it. And yeah, that's a grip. That was so much grip and over. Wow, that was a big one there for Guillaume Bouzard. That just gripped up, didn't it? That just shows how much rubber is down on that circuit.
And especially as you're leaning down, you lean on the front left there on the exit of the bridge. And thankfully, Guillaume Bouzard is A-OK. He was able to be helped out and is now stood at the Marshall Post. On to lap number 11. Joe Turney's lead now 3.8 seconds. He's gone. He is gone up the road. He can go into conservation mode now. Don't push too hard. Take care of the materials because they're going to be needed again. The tyres won't be, but everything else will be needed again for the final. We're going to keep an eye on this fight for 4th place, going through the Mike Wilson complex and out of Pitts Bend now. Lindblom, I've got to say, Scott Lindblom is another driver who's massively impressed me the last few months. Anthony started the year in the OK Junior category and then stepped up to the seniors midway through the season. Was a wild card in effect for the last 2 rounds of the European Championship. But he has been racing the past, say, 3 or 4 months as if he's been in this OK Senior category for a couple of years. It's been really, really impressive from the Swede. Impressive from Fusion Motorsport as well to put this package together. And he's composed at the moment in that fight ahead of David Cosma. Cosma has just received a warning flag, though. Joe Turney looking calm and controlled through the Mike Wilson complex. This is looking like another tick in the box. He's still got the hard work to do, of course, in the final. 3 more laps to go. His lead is now 4 seconds.
Yeah, again, you just can't not say anything good about Joe Turney. He's good on track, he knows how to race, but then when he's off track as well, he's just a great person to be around. Again, he's got such a great personality on and off the circuit. He knows the ins and outs of the world of kart racing. He's been doing it for years, racing over in America, Europe, in the UK, and as well all over. As change there, Lindblom down the inside of David Cosma gets his way through, but again, you just can't put a finger wrong with him. Eyes on this one, though, here, as Lindblom still battles away. Cosma, Elias, Lloyd right there at the back of it. Here comes Jimmy Elias, looks to the inside of Bobby Gain. That's not going to work. He stays behind. And the 4 stay in formation. And look who's closing in behind. It's lucky Lewis Werrell.
Yeah, Lewis Werrell, who's had a bit of a quiet week so far. And I chat to him this morning. He's very much a local to this part of the world, lives I think, about 10-15 minutes away from here. He is a Lincolnshire lad, and is again one of those drivers who has a history of building across the course of the weekend. Became the youngest driver to ever be on an FIA karting OK podium in the senior category. That was at round 1 of the European Championships earlier in the year in Valencia. A bit of defensive movement there from Cosma, holding on to 5th place ahead of Elias. But yeah, Lewis Werrell, again, I would keep an eye on, because if he's in, say, the top 5 or 6 rows for the final, I think he's got a chance, because he's one of those drivers, as I say, stays very calm off the circuit, turns it on track, and knows how to overtake round here.
No, he certainly does, and with so many overtaking opportunities around the PF International Circuit, it's hard to get it wrong, isn't it? Joe Turney leads the way, 4.4 seconds now is his lead. Despite the fact that Ramicus and Matviev aren't even fighting, he is still breaking away from them, and that just shows the pace that he's got, and that is a driver who's in complete and utter focus out there. The second place battle, still Ramicus, Matviev, Lindblom still there as well. This is that second place battle. Like I say, 4.4 seconds behind Joe Turney in the race lead. But Lindblom, Cosma, Elias, Lloyd, Werrell, that battle will rage on right to the end of this one. I can guarantee it, but they need to be careful that they can get to the end. This, however, Joe Turney, it's going to extend his absolute perfect streak of racing, and he's going to claim not only a pole position, 5 qualifying heat wins, but the super heat win as well. He will start on pole for the final later on today. Joe Turney wins on circuit here at PF International in style. Ramicus holds on to second place ahead of Dmitry Matviev. Lindblom finishes in P4 ahead of David Cosma. Jimmy Elias from Freddie Lloyd. Werrell from Drummond. Dries van Langendonk in the end of that one, dropping down and finishing just inside the top 10.
Yeah, a bit of a weaker race for Van Langendonk than perhaps some people were expecting, but not the case for Joe Turney. Turney marches on to the final and is still perfect, and we mean perfect. He took time to qualifying pole position on Friday, which is sometimes not his strongest suit. He then won every single qualifying heat, and now he's won his super heat. He'll be on pole position for the final later on this afternoon. Thibaut Ramicus, though, his second place is going to be right there. At the moment, Ramicus has got up to 4th place in the intermediate classification. He's going to be a factor in the final. Matviev, Lindblom, Cosma, Elias, Lloyd, Werrell, Drummond, Van Langendonk, your top 10 as mentioned. Bondarev, Gus Lawrence, Miguel Costa, Davide Bataro and Luis Francis all in the top 15. I think a number of those drivers have done their chances of being in that final. The world of good. Elliot Kaczynski in P16 ahead of Alpec Soy, Aaron Garcia, Jacob Mikulev and Yuka Po. That takes us down to 20th place.